Hey, gang! Welcome back! KLM time! Okay. The AC's on. I need to turn it off. I think everyone has thought about hurting themselves. The reason why I think this is true is because I think everyone has been emotionally overwhelmed to the fact where there's the common saying, I think nobody understands me. I don't think anyone ever will. And it's because when people talk, often we're too afraid to listen because, again, people are afraid of caring. If you show you care by truly listening or show you care by talking about something you're passionate about, for the thought that maybe that opposing person you're talking to will not listen to what you're saying, that's terrifying because you're caring. You're showing that you are passionate about something and maybe it's stupid to them, almost like you're wasting your life. And why is everyone afraid of the same thing? Everyone's afraid of their life being wasted, not living up to their full potential, and just living a sucky life. And it's interesting because when I watch TV shows, like, they depict this as being very niche, or at least they do a good job of making it seem like this is a really deep conversation to have in a TV show. But every single media post that involves fear involves one of the things I mentioned. Why does everyone feel the same thing? There has to be a connection. If you, hypothetically, in science, if you are experimenting something and you have the same outcome every single time, that proves your hypothesis was correct, or that your experiment is consistent, which is good. Yay. So if everyone has similar fears, what does that mean? I feel like that just adds to the connectivity of us to everyone else in, I want to say, the universe, because let's just say everyone is connected and everyone is somehow similar to everyone else in some way, that people are more similar than different. We've heard this saying before. So why can we not live up to it? Why is it that we keep hearing the same thing? Like, I'm afraid of being a failure. I'm afraid of caring. I'm afraid of not living up to my expectations. Like, why do we not put in the time to actually think about it and maybe grow as a person? Because I keep hearing, for my whole life, I kept hearing over and over again in school and books and media that you should be yourself. Be yourself. Why is it that that phrase changes every single time I hear it? And it only changes because I'm actually acknowledging it now. So, when people feel alone, I think it's because they think people are not fully listening to them, that they need control in some way. And I can say this because I have lived it. I am living currently wanting control, but having control is having no control. Because once I start to grasp and be the ruler of my world in a way where it's forced, that's when things are going to clash against me. That's when I think about hurting myself, because I'm not connected anymore. I'm not connected to everyone around me. Because there's a difference between an active person who wants to hurt themselves and passive. Because everyone at some point has thought it would be better if there was silence. How peaceful would it be to just feel nothing, just for a moment? Doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't that sound awesome? And it's not like I want to do it. I just like to go to that place and imagine that nobody else is on earth except me. And that feels similar to death, that peacefulness, because I'm not afraid of death. I feel like there is a purpose beyond our physical existence on earth. And that's purely because I've lost people in my life, and for some reason I grew closer to them in the loss. When they're in the spiritual world, the spirit realm, if you will, I feel like I'm closer to them than I was when they were physically here. I don't know why. I think it's just because my soul knows that they're still present. Because that's another thing. Everyone's like, whenever someone passes, they're here within your heart. I don't think anyone has ever really genuinely thought about it or put in the time to accept that this is true. They just hear things that are phrases over and over again, and they don't question it. And questioning it isn't debating or disagreeing with it. Questioning something is putting true care into it. Because I think a lot of the times when people question things, they're arguing against it to then have control again, to prove to themselves that they don't have to care. They can just oppose and reject. Because if they accepted something, and let's say it changes you as a person, that is terrifying. Because for you to change from something you've been so comfortable with your whole life, that is the definition of fear. Because what if this thing hurts you? What if this thing makes you a worse person? There's always a bunch of what ifs. But then what if you change those what ifs to opportunities? What if this change makes me a completely different person, but someone who I would admire myself to be? A version of me that is completely unrecognizable from me a year ago, but in the most beautiful way. And I think there's a beauty in that. And I think there's a beauty in us actually caring. Because when I bring up the topic of death, if I brought it up to someone who is an anxious person, they would probably immediately feel anxious that I was going to hurt myself, and they're going to take accountability for trying to save me. But really, I'm just questioning. I'm just asking questions so that I can get an overall thought about it. Because if everyone feels the same, has the same shadow within themselves, why are we so uncomfortable talking about it? Because whenever I've opened up, the worst thing that has happened is they don't give into my conversation, because I'm wanting them to also open up. But I can't force that. I can't force people to get as deep and introspective in it as I am. So the worst thing that could happen is someone disagreeing with you, or someone saying that you're, maybe not even disagreeing, saying you're crazy. And like, that's not the worst thing in the world. I didn't die because they didn't want to have this conversation with me. I actually learned more about myself, that I'm not going to be afraid of social anxiety anymore. Like, I wanted to be afraid of me. Like, I really do love that saying, because there are times when I fought against the fear of being rejected, fear of wasting my life. When I was by myself and I went up to, and I chose to intervene in situations that maybe I wasn't supposed to be in. And I'm getting too vague. We'll get less vague, because I'm getting a little bit. Basically, I stepped out of my comfort zone and truly was myself. And because this happened, I met amazing people in my life. And the awesome thing is, some of them are not even currently in my life now. They were amazing just for that little short period. And that's okay, because that used to be one of my greatest fears too, is losing people. But really, it's not losing people. They just don't align with the you anymore, the version of you that you want to be, because trying to hold everyone and keep everyone is exhausting. And at first, it may be exhausting to care. But the more I do it, the more I speak my truth and how I feel, and doing it in my own way. Yes, I'm tired by the end of it, but at the same time, I'm so much more fulfilled, because it feels like the more people I reach out to, the more people I find who are just like me. And honestly, it happens 90% of the time where I open up and they open up to me. And the only reason why it wouldn't is because I'm forcing the conversation. But usually it works because I care. And I think people understand and know that I care. So basically, I think people should care more. People should... You would think that it's so easy to just care more, but it's not. It's the scariest thing I've ever done. But everyone longs to do it. Everyone longs to care and find someone else that does in the same way. Maybe even opposite ways. But even someone who could have the completely opposite, different viewpoint as you, but equally care as much on the same topic. That's a beautiful that's a divine intervention. Like, that's a beautiful thing that just created and blossomed. And you wouldn't have had that conversation if not to put aside your fear of being rejected. So yeah, when you're afraid, just think about how the purpose of life is literally to live, to live in it, not to survive, because surviving is not living. That has been proven over and over again. Living is acknowledging and caring. Yeah.